and welcome to Battle of the Ports. Over the years we have looked at Puyo Puyo, Puyo Puyo 2 and now it's time for Puyo Puyo SUN, which is the third installment of the Puyo Puyo game series. Developed by Compile and released into the arcades in December 1996 for the Sega STV arcade board. The name Puyo Puyo SUN comes from the Japanese pun on San, and also indicates a new Puyo brought into the game. As some Puyo were used in this game, and the game itself is not only set on a tropical beach, but is the third in the series, hence why it's called Puyo Puyo SUN. Sun, when said in Japanese, is San. San is also the Japanese word for 3. Just like the predecessors, Puyo falls from the top of the screen in pairs. They can be moved left and right and can be rotated clockwise and anti-clockwise by 90 degrees. If the column fills up to the top, the game is over. February 14th, 1997 saw the release of the Sega Saturn port, which was also re-released twice again, with the second version having online play, which came out on September 4th of the same year. Even though the arcade game is basically a Sega Saturn, the Saturn port is not identical. It actually has a few points added to it over the arcade original. Some demographics and chained voices from the arcade version have been changed, and a new opening animation was added. The BGM has also been completely remade from the arcade version, but some of the sound sources are the same as the arcade version. There is a nice feature that no other version has, which makes use of the Saturn's internal clock. When you turn on the power on a specific day, an illustration will be added to the Altia mode. Also, this is the only console version with network play.
Oh shit! 僕の素顔を見てしまったのだね。かわいそうだけどハニーにはここで死んでもらうよ。
The Nintendo 64 even got a release on October 30th, 1997, which was quite a surprise considering the original game was based upon Sega arcade hardware and owned by Sega. Of course, these days that isn't anything special, but back then it was rather odd. In this release, the voice actor of Skeleton T, Ichabus and Lerux were changed for some reason. Graphically, the N64 version is rather blurry in places, as to be expected I guess. On the plus side, the Kachin Uki Puyo Puyo mode was added. This is a tournament style game with up to 16 players. and the Tokotonazo Puyo mode was also added. This mode is kinda like a constant puzzle solving mode. Due to ROM capacity, the Manzai demo voice, the Saturn version opening animation, bonus illustrations, and so on are not included on the N64 release. On November 27, 1997, the PlayStation also got a port. This version is known as Puyo Puyo SUN Ketiban. Kind of an odd name since Kete means decide or decision in English. So is this basically Puyo Puyo SUN Decide version? Odd name. It is based upon the Saturn version with additional elements from the Nintendo 64 version. The voices are the same as the N64 version, for example, and some effects are missing, such as the animated water on the name entry screen and zooming during the intro. The BGM is a mix of the Sega Saturn and Nintendo 64. Since the PlayStation itself does not have a clock function, the bonus illustration is displayed by a simulated clock that accumulates the number of saves, which kind of sucks. Released only in Japan and Korea, this April 17, 1998 Windows release is a port based upon the PlayStation version. The version you are seeing here is an English fan translation. The content of the Manzai demo is almost the same as the PlayStation, but some of the sound effects that were cut in the PlayStation version have been re-recorded. Also, a replay feature to save matches has been added. But none of this matters, because this version is capped at 30 frames per second. Who wants to play Puyo Puyo at 30 frames per second? Also, the reverb on the audio, that's a fault with the video capture. Don't worry about that. On November 27, 1998, we saw the GameBoy Colour get a port. This version has some real differences from other versions. There is no time delay in the generation of the Sun Puyo in the Sun Wheel offset, and the Sun Puyo will always fall immediately after the offset. In response to this, the falling position of the Tayo Puyo is no longer performed, and it falls without a break. For this reason, if you offset continuously, you can continue to prevent the Ojama Puyo all the time. If you don't follow what I said, don't worry. Basically, I'm saying that this game plays a little different, but it's still Puyo Puyo SUN. And finally we have the Mega Drive Mini 2 release, which came on October 27th, 2022. This is a version specialising in the 2-player battle mode based upon the arcade version. The effects and voices have drastically been degraded, as to be expected, but they are in line with the other Puyo Puyo games on the Mega Drive. There's also unique modes such as Tayo In and Fake Tayo that fuse Iro Puyos and Tayo Puyos. There is also a practice mode for one player only, which you're seeing now, equivalent to Tokuton Puyo Puyo. Overall, this is a nice bonus for the Mega Drive Mini 2 and will run on real Mega Drive hardware. I just wish it was a port of the whole game. And let's take a look at all those versions of Puyo Puyo SUN running side by side.